There's a specific kind of moment that most people never talk about. You're surrounded by people, music is playing, maybe someone's laughing across the room. Conversations are happening all around you, and you're standing right in the middle of all of it. But something feels off. There's this invisible wall between you and everything else, like you're watching the whole scene through a pane of glass. You smile when someone looks at you, you say the right things, you laugh at the right moments, but deep inside there's this quiet, hollow feeling, like you're not really there. And the strange part is you don't know why. You wanted to be here, you showed up, but somehow you still feel completely alone. If that's ever been you, you're not broken, you're not weird, and you are absolutely not alone in this. Today we're going to explore the psychology behind why certain people feel disconnected even when they're surrounded by others. Not to fix you, not to change you, but to help you understand what's actually going on beneath the surface. Because once you understand it, something shifts. The weight of it gets a little lighter. So let's start with what that feeling actually is, because it has a name. Psychologists sometimes call it derealization, but that's the clinical extreme. What most people experience is something far subtler. It's more like a persistent sense of emotional distance. You're physically present, but psychologically somewhere else. Your nervous system is in the room, but some deeper part of you never quite arrived. And here's the first thing worth knowing. This isn't a character flaw, it's a protective response. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Think about it this way. Your nervous system has one primary job, and that job is to keep you safe. Not happy, not connected, safe. And over time, if being around people has ever felt unpredictable, exhausting, or even painful, your brain learns to create distance as a kind of armor. It puts up a soft buffer between you and the world. Not because you're broken, but because at some point, being fully present felt like too much of a risk. Now, this plays out differently for different people. For some, it started in childhood. Maybe you grew up in a home where emotions weren't talked about, where you learned early to read the room and manage yourself carefully. When you're a kid doing that, you develop this incredible ability to be present on the surface while simultaneously being somewhere safe inside your own head. That was survival, and your nervous system never forgot how to do it. For others, it's not about the past at all, it's about the present. Chronic stress, overstimulation, a world that never stops demanding your attention, all of that depletes the part of you that's capable of genuine connection. When your nervous system is running on empty, it starts conserving resources, and one of the first things it pulls back is full emotional presence. You become a version of yourself that's functional but distant, technically there, but not really landing anywhere. And then there's a third layer that doesn't get talked about enough. Some people feel disconnected in crowds because they've never quite found their people. Not because they're antisocial, not because they're broken, but because there's a kind of loneliness that comes specifically from being surrounded by people you can't fully be yourself with. When the conversations stay shallow and you're someone who craves depth, the room can feel emptier than silence ever does. That's not a social failure, that's actually a sign of a highly developed inner life. There's something called social mirroring that most people do almost unconsciously. You match the energy of the people around you. You reflect their emotions back. You sync up. But for people who feel disconnected in groups, that mirroring mechanism can feel almost impossible to access. And the reason is fascinating. Research on emotional sensitivity suggests that some nervous systems are wired to process social information more deeply and more slowly than others. You're not just registering what someone said, you're registering how they said it, what they might have meant, what you should say back, how the whole dynamic is shifting in real time. That's a lot of processing. And when it happens fast enough and in a crowd large enough, the system can quietly start to shut down. Not in a dramatic way, just in that quiet, glassy way. The lights are on, but you've stepped back from the window. This is also why certain environments hit harder than others. A party where everyone's talking at once, a family gathering with years of unspoken tension underneath every smile, a workplace social event where you're performing a version of yourself that's professionally appropriate but not entirely real. In all of these settings, the gap between who you're being and who you actually are widens. And the wider that gap gets, the more disconnected you feel. It's not the crowd itself. It's the distance between your authentic self and the role you're playing inside it. And here's something important. Feeling this way doesn't mean you don't want connection. Often it means the opposite. People who feel this kind of disconnection tend to be the ones who want real connection the most. They're not pulling away because they don't care. They're pulling away because the surface level version of connection leaves them feeling more alone than being by themselves does. There's a profound difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness is the ache for connection that isn't there. What we're talking about here is something quieter. It's the ache of being in a room full of connection and still not being able to reach it. That's a specific kind of pain, and it deserves a specific kind of understanding. So what actually helps? Not in a quick fix way, but in a real, sustainable way. The first thing is recognizing that the disconnection is communication. Your nervous system is telling you something. Maybe it's overstimulated. Maybe it's depleted. Maybe it's trying to protect you from a dynamic that doesn't actually feel safe. Before you push yourself to connect more, it's worth pausing and asking, what's going on for me right now? What is this feeling trying to tell me? The second thing is that smaller is almost always better for people who experience this. Deep one-on-one conversations tend to feel more real than group interactions. Not because you're incapable of groups, but because your nervous system can actually land somewhere in a quieter setting. You process, you respond, you connect. The crowd dilutes that. The intimacy amplifies it. That's not a limitation, that's just how you're wired, and it's worth honoring rather than fighting. The third thing is self-permission. A lot of people who feel this way spend enormous energy trying to feel something they're not feeling, trying to manufacture warmth or enthusiasm that isn't genuinely there in that moment. And the effort of performing connection while not feeling it is exhausting in a way that's hard to describe. Giving yourself permission to simply exist in a room without needing to feel deeply present in it, that actually reduces the disconnection over time. Paradoxically, when you stop trying to force yourself to arrive, something in you naturally starts to settle. You are not broken. You are not defective. You are not incapable of love or friendship or belonging. What you are is someone whose nervous system processes the world in a particular way. Someone who feels things deeply enough that shallow environments simply don't cut through. Someone whose inner world is rich enough that the outer world sometimes feels thin by comparison. That's not a disorder. That's a different way of being human. And maybe, somewhere in this video, something clicked for you. Maybe you recognized yourself in one of those moments. If you did, I'd love to know. When do you feel most disconnected? And when do you feel most genuinely present? Leave that in the comments. I read them. And if this kind of quiet, honest psychology content is something you want more of, subscribing means the next video will find its way to you. We'll be exploring something just as close to the surface, something else that lives quietly underneath the version of yourself that the world sees.